is this sort of your first time-ish? Kind of
I met
first
with you
time-ish?
here a while back.
That's true. It's hard to know exactly where to start or how to jump in. So I'll tell you a little bit about what happens in here and then what happens in the classroom. Those are basically the two focuses of our program. The drop-in thing happens here is where students self-select to come or online, so either of those. Then the classroom-based, we're pretty much out there, so you won't see that happening really in here. If this were a normal day, you would see people at the various tables. They may be working on their own. That's been a kind of a new pattern since we've been in this space, is that people actually come to write. And then as they get stuck, they'll ask questions. And they just sort of maybe need a 5 or 10-minute intervention, and then they'll go back to their writing. A lot of folks, based on our old model, if they've had any experience with us before, either make an appointment or drop by for a 25 to 30-minute consultation, or 25 to 50-minute consultation, depending on the length of the assignment, et cetera, and how far they planned ahead. So then they would sit down with a writing assistant, and if they have writing, we would look at the writing, either have them read it aloud, which is pretty common actually place to start. One reason is that there's two main questions that writers typically ask. They want help with grammar or flow. And we understand after interviewing a little more closely that when people ask for grammar, they don't necessarily know what it means. And they really don't know exactly what flow means. None of us actually do. So we sort of have to negotiate what that means to them and what they're actually looking for. A lot of times people come in, or we wish people came in more before they ever started writing, or when they're really not getting very far. So the stuck feeling that I think we've all had, especially getting started. A lot of folks just don't understand the assignment, and it's easier to intervene earlier than to find out after you've spent hours slogging through an assignment that, oh, you know what, it's a decent piece of writing, but it doesn't actually meet the assignment, and that's always tough news to share. So yeah, those consultations happen, usually 2, sometimes 3 at a time, and the place gets kind of loud and hopping. Depending on how many people are in here writing on their own. We worked on, and we did End the Quarter Right, which was a collaborative event with the reference desk, and Lee was there with writing instruction support. He's the grammar guru. And we were turning people away because there just wasn't enough space for them to light. So we didn't want that. I can imagine with that extra space up there that we won't have to do that. It'll be much more, and maybe much more of that. I'm coming here to write, and I'm stuck for a minute. Can you come over here and give me a little hand with this section I'm stuck on, or what is this part of the assignment, or something like that, and then just to keep moving. So that's kind of what happens in the center. About 30% of the consulting we do is online, and we respond with the screencast. So it's an audio visual. We've usually done some work to either highlight or demonstrate something that we're going for, a strategy, or maybe if it's some kind of fix, we kind of demonstrate what that would look like and then say, hey, you take it from here.
So the online, is that like a webinar format that you provide on a topic, or is it a one-to-one with the students who have a problem and you're interacting with them back and forth online?
We're not interacting with them in real time.
Okay.
That's something we haven't been able to schedule logistically yet.
Is it student generated, or is something that you're putting out as the center for many people to?
Oh yeah, no. We're hoping to move a little bit more into that direction too. We have a few screencasts that are a couple minutes on demonstrating here's how you use such and so a strategy, but it's really tailored to the individual. So it's individual response, and I would just in the screencast say, hey Beth, I really enjoyed reading your proposal.
Stop with the passive voice.
What were you thinking? No. So that kind of is in the center. Then what we do out in the classroom is basically in response to some Red Square surveys that we did with non-users to find out why they didn't use the Writing Center, would they ever use the Writing Center. And there's a group of students, a fairly strong number, that no, not gonna happen. And two main reasons they cite: don't leave time, this I could predict, and don't need no stinking help with my writing. That was actually a little bit of a surprise, and it was interestingly a gendered response. So we decided, well, you know what, this isn't cool, because everybody needs a Writing Center, or everyone needs a reader, so how can we deal with this? So that's when we started to forge partnerships with classes that are writing based, and then the Writing Center experience is part of the class itself. You can't avoid it, it's pretty much built into the class. And so everything from the assignment to the responses to the strategy sessions in terms of writing process strategies are all classroom-based. Since we moved here, if the class is not over 25 folks, most of them come here for those strategy sessions. So
I imagine you work pretty closely with both the English department, perhaps the history department, but there are other departments where you're getting a lot of connections with other faculty or with students in particular that are interested in your
well, you actually, it's sort of surprising. There's not as much connection to the English department as you might expect. So they have a lot of their own supports, and strategy instruction is part of their courses oftentimes. And so they sort of take care of that on their own. They, you know, I mean, it's not like we don't get any writers from English, because they do a lot of writing. So of course there's going to be writers from English. And English 101 tends to be a place that we really interact, which is great, because that sets up a habit. We also know from our stats that once you visit, you will come back. So that's just pretty much a given. So it's actually some disciplines that you wouldn't expect. History is one. They do a lot of writing in history. Psychology, social science is kind of huge. Science, not at all. It's rare. We get a few math majors, but CSD, engineering technology, a lot from Huxley, any Huxley related thing. And Woodring is a fairly strong user. Human services, they're strong users as well. But yeah, but the sciences, not so much. So I've had interesting conversations with faculty in the sciences about, because don't tell me you don't need to write. But it turns out they don't do much revised writing. They turn it in, and that's it. So you're not working on revising a piece after you've gotten it back to say, no, we need to work on X or such. So that's interesting. The way they deal with revising a lot of times in the sciences, especially with the lab report, is that you're just on to the next lab and you do another lab report. So whatever you learn from the first lab report, you're supposed to carry over into the next one. Whether that works or not, I'm not sure.